I'll burn the pancakes and probably the house too, but baby, it's stuck to me like glue.
Hello, everyone. I'm wishing you a great day wherever you are right now. Welcome to Reflections of Evelyn. I hope you can get a little sense of where I'm at right now as I talk about this topic of the system with you a little bit. I decided to take a bike ride to the ocean in Long Beach. I'm kind of next to Shoreline Village a little bit, but I took the bike path down to the beach and I'm looking at this adorable seagull right now in front of me. The tides are low. Isn't that like a David Bowie song? I swear, like I have had Starman stuck in my head forever. I need to obviously tie that back into this episode somewhere because it's probably fitting. But anyways, small tangent. Watching some kids play in the sand. The sky is very blue and it's got some beautiful clouds. We didn't really have rain yesterday. Everyone's like, oh, I can't go out today and pick up this thing from you. You're trying to sell a couch on Facebook Marketplace and can't come over because it's raining. Well, it didn't really rain, so try again. Sassy lady. But I'm watching some fishermen catch some probably very disgusting polluted fish, listening to their oldies music. It sounds kind of like R&B, bluesy, kind of old rock and roll. And I decided to do this episode by the ocean because I don't want to be heated when I talk about this. I want to be in a tranquil environment. And, you know, my cat, he went to the vet yesterday. He was such a good boy and he did really well. And turns out he's going to be okay. I'm so happy he's going to be okay. Just needed to get a bunch of shots and medication. It was environmental factors from where he was boarding for a couple days when I was working at Coachella. But the more positive note is that he'll be okay. So I'm very grateful for that. I told the vet, actually, no, I told the girls at the front, I said, I would love to be a mother, but I don't know how I could be a mother with as much as I love my cat. I'm such a helicopter mom, and I kind of baby my cat a little bit, but he's such a good boy, and he's so well-mannered, and everyone's like, oh my gosh, like he's so well-behaved, and he's a good boy. I'm like, yeah, he really is. I think I did a good job. Anyways, I've had it on my heart to do this episode for a while. I did like a 10-minute segment on social media when I was driving around because I was very heated when this woman in the medical industry was telling me about how she can't change some notes because the system wouldn't let her. And I really had to go to literally a tranquil, peaceful spot and talk about this because I had to get out of, I don't know, my environment for a little bit to talk about something that is a little challenging for me. Also, I'm going to be reading off of some notes that I took and kind of going back and forth. So hopefully this doesn't sound too scripted and we'll kind of take it from there. So I had some concerns lately about where we're headed. And I want to say it's an American thing. I don't actually know if this is happening in other countries. I'm sure it might eventually get there, or maybe it's not as bad, or maybe that's not the problem that they are facing. I think the only way to really know is by talking to someone directly about it. Definitely not going online or trying to Google what the news is saying about it. But I've been having some very, very, just heartbreaking, like, I don't even want to call them fears because a lot of it is reality, but it's a scary kind of time that we're living in. I haven't been proud to be an American for a long time, and I'm frustrated. I do own a property in Long Beach in California, But the goal is never to stay here. I could see myself in the mountains one day. I could see myself living in another country one day. And it's gonna kind of be on my journey and where life kind of takes me to see where I end up. For now, it's okay. But being in SoCal in general, I think it's kind of coming to a head for me. It's a lot different when you go to Central California or Northern California or another state. I'm grateful for what I have. I really am. It's just a kind of a certain kind of culture that we have here in SoCal and maybe California, maybe some different states, maybe America in general. But there's some things that I'm seeing that are quite concerning to me. And again, I'd love to know if people in other countries are struggling with this, or maybe they have other things that they're struggling with instead. But I'm going to talk a little bit about the system. And I don't know if you want to call it a system failure, or I don't know if the system is a combination of the government, politics, society, corporate greed, monopolies. I don't know. You'll have to kind of hear it all out and kind of make the decision for yourself. I think I've learned in therapy, it's not so much black and white. It's a combination of multiple factors. And I think what's worrying me is it's happening more often. But there are several different entities that I've tried to speak to about various topics that we'll get into. And I'm hearing the same verbiage everywhere I go. The system won't allow this. The system won't let me do it. And I'm talking to these humans face to face and over the phone. And I'm saying, who's the system? What system? Are you guys talking about a computer? Are you telling me that this computer is dictating this situation right now? And I think what worries me is they have this like face on them or this sound. And it's almost like, I don't even know if they know what they're saying. I don't know if they feel forced to be on this script, but sometimes it's not even a script. And I think a lot of people maybe feel like things are out of their control, so they do nothing. And I'm not a fan of that. I think it's very easy to fall through the cracks and have domino effects and snowball effects. And when you don't address something properly or to the best of your ability, shit can go south pretty quickly. And so I'm going to talk about a couple different instances where the system, whatever that may be, is letting me down. And I'm seeing it happen in a lot of different circles. And again, I always say this, but this is not to tell you how to think and feel. This is to kind of tell you what's happening in my experience. And then you on your own get to make the decision of how you feel, how it affects your life, what you're noticing, and see if there's something that you want to kind of go off of, right? I'm not like heated when I'm talking about this. So I'm going to try to be as raw as I can in this kind of tranquil environment that I'm trying to keep right now, as I have like sand going into my eyes and getting all over my phone and whatever. We're just going to like work with it, right? This is how life is presenting it at the moment. We'll start with this credit card company, right? So yesterday, I call up my credit card company. I like my credit card company a lot. I was thankful to get approved for this card. And I think the reason why I got approved is because, yeah, the perks are kind of good. But the downside is the reason why they just let anybody have this credit card is because they're like, oh, well, if you miss one payment or if something goes terribly wrong, every single bill you will get charged over $50, even for missing for a day, half a day. And I'm pretty good about my payments. I'm overly good about my payments. I'm very cautious. And unless I'm being drugged or catfished or hacked, I will make every single payment possible. And so I'm going through my transactions yesterday and I see some weird things. I was like, weird. It says I made a $40 purchase on gas and they're giving me $100 on my credit card for points, like cash back. It said that, but it didn't actually reflect in the statement. So that was just kind of an error. But the reason why I had to call customer service was basically I can make one-time payments through my bank account, but they won't let me set up auto enroll so that I never miss a payment and that I make my payments on time. Man, I wonder if they like design it that way. But essentially, I can go through every single month around the 15th to the 18th and make sure that my bill gets paid on time. And it's very weird the way it's set up. It's like, okay, the payment's due on the 20th, but if you pay on the 20th, it's late because it's not going to process for 3 days. So I'm kind of like overcompensating now, and I'm going to be paying my bill like every couple of days just because I have to deal with this like new headache. But it's a good work credit card, so I keep it right now. So I call customer service and I say, hey, like I can't do auto enroll because it's not accepting my bank account because it's a savings, not a checking. And I said, if you just like click that button that says it's a savings, then it can go through. My one-time payments go through, but not my auto enroll. And the woman over the phone is saying like, okay, well, it has to be a checking. And I said, well, doesn't it technically just have to be a routing and account number? And she said, yes. I said, cool. So let's click a button. Let's talk to someone who has some power or authority and click that button that says it's a savings because it doesn't have to be a checking account. She's like, no, the system will not allow us to do that. And I'm like, okay, well, is there a manager I can speak to? Maybe they can do it. And she kind of brushed me off, was like, okay, here's the manager. And so then I talked to the manager and he's kind of saying the same thing. And I said, well, I had like 3 other things that I wanted to bring up to him, but both agents essentially said, this system will know automatically that there is an error. And it takes 24 hours to 42 hours, 24 to 48 hours to update properly. So if there is a glitch in the system or the matrix or whatever, give the system time to know what it did wrong and to fix the error. And I said, like, what? So I have to like constantly, like every single day, go into my app and make sure that the system properly knows what I'm telling you. How does the system know what I'm trying to do? I can't talk to the system. How can I fix it? And I'm kind of getting a little like, I don't want to say smart. It's like the bad word to use, but like I'm getting respectfully smart with this agent over the phone. And I said, like, with all due respect, like, what can you do as a customer service agent? Well, we can tell you what your balance is and we can, guide you on the app and da-da-da. And I'm like, so basically you can only do what I can do and you can't do anything more than what I can do. They're essentially saying yes. I'm like, okay, then what's the point of having a customer service agent? And I'm like, okay, well, is there somebody above you, maybe corporate, or maybe you can look into some policies because this account, like you already accepted $800 from me. Like you can accept one-time payments, but I can't do an auto enroll. Like I have to change an entire type of bank account just so that I can make payments. He's like, yeah, if you want auto enroll. I'm like, well, what if the system fails me and has a glitch and my payment doesn't go through? Are you guys going to charge me $50? It's like, yeah. I'm like, what? Like, I don't understand. Like, what do you mean the system? Like, you're going to tell me that the system knows exactly what's going to be wrong with my account. And within 42 hours, I just need to trust that the system will make all of the correct changes, know exactly what I'm calling you about, and then just like fix itself. So basically I have to be my own financial advisor and make sure that the system is doing their job. Like I'm not working for your company. Like I'm a client. I'm a paying customer. Like why is this happening? But I realized I was getting nowhere with that conversation. So I have to do my own due diligence now and just like check my account like a hawk every 5 seconds and make sure that the system is not failing me. But the issue I have is, let's say there's a glitch and the system is not reflecting accurate information, which absolutely does happen. What am I supposed to do? Just bend over and take it? And unfortunately, we're in a kind of system now where, yes, that is the correct answer. If something is on their screen, they're going off of the screen and not the situation. And I think that's been very frustrating. Another example is Apple and T-Mobile. And this one really, really affected me for like a long time. It really kind of just really made me upset. Backstory is, you can go to episode 8 and kind of look at the deep dive of what was happening there. But back in 2021 and 2023, various things happened to me, from 2 home invasions. My car was stolen. I was catfished. I was hacked. I was robbed. I was drugged, etc. And my credit from all of this happening went from 850, perfect, never missed a payment, never had any problem in my entire life. And because the system was not working and I couldn't talk to higher up people that could help me with the situation, I missed so many payments that it went into collections, and I went from 850 credit score to like 200. Let me just tell you, you do not want to fall through the cracks, because it took me roughly 5 years to get up to, I think I'm at like 760 now. And basically you have to do everything completely perfectly. And even after 5 years, I'm still not back to where my credit score was. And let's start with Apple. I went to Apple. I have so many recorded lines, so many agents over the years, so many times where I tried to like gain strength and call these people back and said, hey, I just want to confirm, is my data still there? And they're like, yeah, we see it. Wow, that's a lot of data. I'm like, yeah, it's like, I call it 30 years worth of data. And I said, the problem that I have, due to your policy is because I was robbed. All my devices were stolen. My linked devices were stolen. My secondary devices were stolen. My passwords were stolen. My credit cards were stolen. Everything was stolen. So if I try to log back into my account, I can't, because I don't have the information that's needed. In theory, Apple could just be wonderful, and they can have you verify your identity with documents. You can verify pictures that are in there. There's so many different things that they can do that they're choosing not to do. But I got the confirmation recently, like, yeah, you could get your data. You just need your password. I'm like, well, that's not an option. They're like, okay, well, if you can ever get back into your Gmail, you'll be able to log in. And I said, well, not really, because Gmail/Google, if you have an inactive account for over, I think, 8 months to a year, 2 years, they shut your account down. So that's not an option. And they're like, oh, okay, well, okay, well, what about the credit card that was on file? You need all the digits to your credit card. You need the expiration date and the CVV or CVS or CVS. CV, whatever it's called, that 3-digit code on the back of your card. And so I called up Bank of America and I said, like, hey, guess what? I just found out I can get 30 years of my data back. All I need is the credit card number that I had with you for several years, the expiration date, and the CVV. We got the credit card numbers. That was extremely hard to get. I had to go through several hours and several agents to get that. I think I was able to get the expiration date, but they could not give me that 3-digit code. And I said, I'm confused, you guys. You're corporate. I'm calling the only people that I could possibly call. I'm all the way up in the chain of command, like next to nepotism or like knowing somebody on the inside, like you're who I'm supposed to go to get this information. And they said, well, we can't get you that card. And I said, but you're my credit card company. You're my bank. Like, you have statements, you have documents, you have records. If you don't, that's very concerning. You can call it a data privacy protection, whatever, but what is the point of data privacy protection if it protects you even from you? That only means that you have all the power and control in this situation. You're going to tell me you guys aren't doing shady things to our data? Is the goal and objective here to get all of us away from our own rights and datas and bodies, and then somebody else has control over it? I don't know, just my opinion. Oh my God, that bag just flew by me. That was really crazy. Okay, anyways, wow, it was weird. So I said, like, I don't understand. I'm telling this human on the phone. I said, please understand. Please, if there's someone else that can help me, please have me talk to them. If there's a supervisor or some corporate entity or another department, please. So, I go on a goose chase for several years and several hours of my time talking to different agents and trying to find new tactics. And they're like, no, sorry, without that 3-digit code, like, which we can't give you, like, you can't get it. And I said, but you do hear what I'm saying, right? I can get 30 years of my data back if I have this 3-digit code. I'm a paying customer. I was loyal to you guys for years. Like, can you help me out? Nope, sorry. I'm like, God damn. So then I go back to Apple and I said, hey, I can't get that code. Google can't help me. You have to pay for customer service. And even then, like, good luck. You can't get a hold of them. I've tried a million different ways. No, going to a forum and talking to people in my situation is not going to help me. It would be great if I knew hackers or software engineers or people on the inside, but I don't. And so I go back to them and I say, like, look, like, what are my other options here? I said, like, what about you? Like, you guys are the ones that are keeping me from my data. So what can I do? And so there's actually one really great woman from Canada. She gave me some interesting advice. And she's like, well, and it took me like 5 years to get to this point where she actually gave me some helpful information. She's like, no, Evelyn, you don't need the phone that was stolen. You just need the phone number. If you can go to your carrier, T-Mobile, and if you can pay them or whatever to get access to that old phone number, we'll send a code to that phone number. Bada bing, bada boom. You're in your account. All your data's back. I was like, no way. That's amazing. I don't need the stolen phone. I just need the phone number. Ooh, excited. So I go to T-Mobile, talk to them on the phone. They said, yeah, you've reached all your options. Sorry, can't help you. Maybe go to the store. So I go to the store. The agent in person did as much as he could to help me. He couldn't. So then we went to the supervisor, the only person in the store. She couldn't help me. So they basically were saying, in theory, they're like, nobody's asked us to do this before, therefore we can't do it. They said, no one is using your old phone number. It's inactive. At one point, it was a prepaid number, but right now, nobody's using it. I'm like, great, that's amazing. So I don't have to pay some random person on the other end $100 to send me a code, because apparently some people have tried that, and that could get very dangerous, obviously. So we're talking, and I say, like, okay, well, this is 30 years of data that I'm trying to get. Like, surely there's something that we can do. I said, maybe I have to pay a ton of money for a plan that I'm not using whatsoever. And they're like, yeah, but you'll have to submit a claim. You'll have to start with a number that's not yours. Then you'll have to go down this rabbit hole with the phone people, and it's the same people that we have to contact. So if they can't help you, then we can't help you. I said, yeah, but they sent me here. And they're like, yeah, no, the number you called that sent you here is the same number we would talk to. And I'm like, okay, so I would be needing to pay for a service that I don't need with a new number, file a bunch of claims just to request to have my old number back, and you can't even guarantee that. They're like, correct. And I think what bothers me is, why is there no customer relations or dispute department? And if it's thinking outside of the box, every company can't comprehend to do this. So I'm like, it'd be very easy for you guys to hear the situation, to open the claim, and to be able to see, you see that my old number is my old number. You see that nobody's not using it. What's the harm in getting me that old number? So I get really frustrated. I'm like, fine. Here's my credit card. Put me on a new plan, and I'll start that process to file the claim. And so we're going through the process, and at the very end, the woman says, uh-oh, the system says there's something wrong with your address. We can't help you. I was like, what do you mean? She's like, well, the system has this little red code at the top. There's a little error code. And basically your bank account address is not matching with the address of your residence. Therefore, we have this error code. So I log into my bank and I show her and I said, here's the address that's on file attached to my bank. She's like, yeah, I see it. I'm like, so you can see, I'm like so stressed about trying to make this point come across. And it's funny that when I'm stressed and when I'm passionate and when I'm fuming is when my words somehow make a little bit more sense. Hopefully this works. Bear with me. I'm getting upset just talking about it though. I said, I logged into my bank account. I showed you the address that's on file. My card isn't declining. All you need is an address. You put in the address. You put the unit. You changed everything you could. You put past addresses. She's like, no, I see what you're saying. Yes, we should be able to have an account for you because you just showed us your bank account information. It matches the address on file with your ID. No problems. We're good. We're golden. And I said, okay, so then just go into that little red box and change what the system says. You are a manager. You are as high up as I could possibly go. You can change it. She said, no, the system won't allow me to. I said, what do you mean the system won't allow you to? You're a human. You're a manager. You're part of corporate. You can make calls. I said, can you talk to your boss? How about your boss's boss? Call your boss's boss's boss. Call corporate. Well, the only number we have and capability in the store is this number. Well, yeah, I called that number and they sent me to you because they couldn't help me. She's like, yeah, I'm sorry. The system won't allow it. Oh my God, you guys, the system won't allow it. That's crazy. So I go back to Apple. And on a 45-minute call, I explain what happened with my credit card with Bank of America and T-Mobile trying to get that code sent. And also what happened with Gmail, Google. And they're like, yeah, that sucks. And I said, you guys, there were only 3 options that you gave me to be able to do this. I explained what happened to you every single time. I'm trying to explain to you that it's been taking me 5 years. Well, first it was 3 years to get my data, then another 2 years because I was able to get the data and then it was stolen again. It's like a whole big thing. So within 5 years, like I've been trying to get this data. And this other woman pops up on the phone and she's like, yeah, that really sucks. I'm sorry. And she said, you know what? It would be great if one day there was another policy. Like we hear this all the time. It's very frustrating. It sucks for everybody. There's nothing we can do. She said, I believe in the power of words, so I'm not trying to say this and have it come true, but there's one other option that you have. I said, oh my God, what is it? Tell me. She said, you can fake your own death. I said, I'm sorry, what? She said, well, Apple has this thing called legacy. And she said, if you wanted to, she's like, I'm not saying what you should do, but the only other option is going through legacy. If you go to the courthouse, if you essentially fake your death and you say that you've died, you can give us that information, a death certificate proving that you are dead, and we will give you access to your data. It's basically what people who have died, and they want to get their families like data. And you give them, this legal document and then someone else, has your data after you die. And I'm telling this woman, I'm literally hearing you suggest to me that I should go down to the courthouse right now, fake my death just so that I can get my data back from you. She's like, but I believe in the power of words. Like, obviously I don't want you to die. I don't want to put that out there. And I was like, don't you think it would be a problem if I faked my own death while I'm alive? Do you really not see the problems that would happen there if I did that? She's like, I know, it sucks. Sorry. And so she's like, but here, let me send you an email on legacy. And so you can learn a little bit more about it and make your decision and see what you want to do. And I'm like, oh my God. And so I'm getting really frustrated at this point because I go through all the proper channels. I talk to several agents, talk to several supervisors. I mean, the only other option I could see, which wouldn't even work, is to fly to these corporate headquarters, march in there, guns a-blazing, not guns a-blazing. Oh my God, you can't even say something like that in this day and age. That is a figure of speech, people. Come in there with lots of passion in my heart, sending them sweet flowers and, treats and chocolates and buying them all steak dinners, whatever they need to help me. But I can foresee walking into a headquarters and they're like, yeah, we don't do that here. You got to call customer service. I know this driver, he had a big problem with his account and there was a system error on his account. And so he actually did drive like 8.5 hours to headquarters and they basically like shut the door in his face and said like, yeah, you got to call customer service. I mean, it's just like wild. It's wild to me. So I was very frustrated because I had to reach a moment of peace, which I have recently come to realize. I said, Evelyn, not that I necessarily believe this, but people say what is meant to be yours, you will have. What is meant to be in your life, you'll have. And I have apparently been resisting life so much, trying to get my data back for memories. I mean, I've traveled all over the world. I had great loves in my life. I saw and did amazing things, and shame on me, sue me. I would love to have my data from my entire life, basically ever, since everything that I've like documented or scanned photos from my childhood, all, my one act play that I wrote in high school, that is my constant, effort to get back because it was one of, I consider my greatest works of art. I scanned all of my college photo essays and documents and things that I did. I also scanned like essays that I've written and like all this stuff, right? Like all of this stuff, not to mention all my travels and parties I've gone to and things that made me really happy. Basically, all data from age 29 is gone. 30 is gone. So all I have is the last couple years of memories that I've made. And I'm trying to understand from life, why couldn't there be an opportunity where I could have had a password somewhere or one of these 5 different entities that couldn't help me? What if one of them could, what if I called them or went to them face to face? And what if one person felt like they wanted to do their job or ask someone or thought it was in their power or ability to care and, just do outside of like the normal charades that they do every day. But no one ever did. And so I just, it was so much of a bummer to me because it makes me think when people say what's meant to be yours is in your life. I'm like, what does that mean? Does my data that is mine and these memories, are they not mine anymore? Do I not get to have them? Is there a reason why I can't have that? Is that some sort of psychological, emotional thing that I just have to contend with? And so I've reached a moment, I don't want to say I've given up, but I've reached a moment in my life where I'm like, Evelyn, you're not going to get any of that back. And you're going to have to accept it. You're going to have to be okay with it. Because the alternative is you keep thinking about this and dwelling about this for years and years. And then you're just seeing really bad sides of society. And you don't like looking at people and entities and corporations like that. Like, this is just life. This is how it's going to be. And so I think there's probably still some things. I mean, obviously, I'm still dealing with things from my past that I'm trying to work through. And I had it in my notes like, hey, when you're not so fuming, maybe you can't get your data back, but maybe try calling Amazon and seeing if you can get that $30,000 worth of stuff back that you had to pay and go into collections for. And I had to delete that reminder in my phone one day because I was like, Evelyn, I guess the lesson here is you can't get back the past. This is one of my favorite bands has a lyric, you can't get back the past through grief. You can't get back the past through grief. To this like woman's point with Apple, she said, maybe one day, Apple will change their policy. Maybe one day there will be a new way for you to gain access, whether it's facial recognition or verifying documents. Maybe on that arbitrary day, when Apple decides not to be a corporate monopoly and wants to give a shit and not just be all about money and consumers, maybe there would be something. But I can't even hope or dream for that day because it's just painful, I guess. And I think it's not just getting the past back through grief, but it's also seeing the world for what it is and just not being okay with what I see. And I think that's almost more what I have to contend with a little bit. And I thought if something, I don't know if psychologically, I thought if I could control, I don't want to use the word control, but if I could get back that data, then maybe I felt like I had a sense of me back, If I could call Amazon for the 100th time and said, hey, I was drugged, I was robbed, I kept telling you guys to stop payments, I kept telling you guys that I did not have access to my credit cards anymore. Like I kept telling you guys not to keep having all of these items shipped to different places. And then I was getting emails that said, we can't deliver your items to you because I had like a package theft person in my building. And so I was going to other locations and having them like ship it to them and pick it up there. And they said, oh, we can't deliver it. But instead of getting a refund or instead of just having those packages go back to corporate, I got charged for it. And at the time that all of that was happening, I was trying to make a documentary. I was going down the producer director route, and I bought very expensive cameras, phones, equipment, microphones, props and shit. Basically and a lot of gifts. It was around Christmas time. I was buying like family members gift cards and people that were helping me with my clothing exchange. I was like, here's a $500 gift card. Here's a $200 gift card. Here's various things, right? And so I called Amazon like several times throughout the years, and I gave up with them years ago. And they're like, yeah, we can't help you. And I was like, but on these recorded lines, I told you what was going on. I told you the complex situation. They're like, yeah, we can't help you. So I went into $35,000 worth of debt. I had to pay for everything that was stolen or that I did not ever receive. I had to pay a very hefty fine, a big fat check for items that I never got. And so one time I called them and I said, hey, obviously you guys don't want to give me my money back, but can you guys maybe give me those items that I never received, that you have proof that I never received? And they said, yeah, no. So it's a bummer. It's a bummer because the system is designed to be like that. You can talk to as many supervisors and managers if you want, but if you're not able to talk to the CEO directly, you're kind of fucked, right? In a dream world, I wish I knew a hacker, an ethical hacker. I wish I knew people that worked for the companies that I mentioned. And in those situations, you could probably get the help that you need, and it's just a bummer. Lastly, talking about the system, the other day, I was picking up a package for work, and I go to this woman after it took me 30 minutes to find her because my notes were inaccurate. It's not where she was at all. Basically, I had to go down this rabbit hole and had to get escorted through security to all these different places. And I get to her and she's like, oh, you're here. And I said, please look at my phone. Please look at what these notes say. She's like, yeah, that's not where we are at all. I said, I know. If you notice, there's no contact number. If you notice, the notes say to go to the first floor and then the basement, blah, blah, blah. And you're on the fourth floor and you're in an entirely different suite in a different building. And she's like, it doesn't matter what I say or do. The system won't let us change it. And we call up your people and we tell them, or, you're the company you work for, and we tell them that these notes aren't right. And I said, I'm so sorry. This is such a bad look. I'm showing up 30 minutes late because I have inaccurate notes. And I tell her, I call up my people and say, hey, look, these notes are wrong. Can we maybe fix the notes so that future drivers don't have this issue? And she's like, well, that's what the client does. The client has to change it. We can't do anything about it. And I'm calling customer service and helpline, mind you. And I said, so you can't edit the actual notes to reflect correct information? She's like, no, that's on the client. I was like, what? She's like, well, technically we can, but we're not going to do it because it's what the client wants. And so I'm talking to the client and I'm saying, hey, like, what's going on? Like, I'm being told that you guys are the ones that are supposed to change the notes. And through various different situations I've had, like in this particular one, she was like, no, the system won't allow us to change it. There's nothing we can do on our end. And I'm like, so you just deal with this problem like every day for your orders? And she's like, yeah, pretty much. The system won't allow us to change it. And I was like, what the fuck? I talked to another guy one time and he's like, it doesn't matter how many times I call. I get a voicemail. I leave a voicemail. No one ever returns my calls. We try to change the notes. We have this problem like all the time. And I'm like, all I'm hearing is two different sides playing the blame game. And nobody wants to take responsibility or accountability for what's going on. And me being the literal messenger is just like looking like a chicken with her head cut off. And there's nothing I can really do about it. So I'm frustrated because I've tried in so many ways in my power to be able to do what I can. And as I'm saying this, it's like, Evelyn, it's not in your control. And it's funny when you listen to Stoics hundreds of years ago say, not much is in your control. I'm paraphrasing. What is in control is your thoughts and the things that you say. And it's true. I mean, it's frustrating when we want to make changes in America. And what the heck is a protest going to do? What the heck is, like all these signs and posters and people honking on the freeway? Like, what is that going to do to make change? And the hard part is I've gone up against the system, government, authority. I've gone to different entities, and you need to be very careful when you do stuff like that because, all of a sudden you lost your job. All of a sudden you're getting death threats. All of a sudden you're getting threats that if you don't do this and that, your family is going to get hurt or your loved ones are going to get hurt. And it's frustrating because I think the key to the fear is to try to live as much as possible in reality, face-to-face contact, go in person when you can to the store, support local businesses. If someone isn't messaging you back, don't worry so much about what is in your head or what is in theirs and see what's in reality. When I say reality, I mean the world you see when your screen is out of your face, when you aren't in front of a TV, when your phone isn't in your hands, when you don't have your headphones in and you're listening to literally whatever. Engage with your Uber or Lyft driver. Engage with the person next to you at the store instead of killing time and brain cells on your phone. Take a stroll or run without headphones and hear the noises around you and see and hear all the things that you would have missed otherwise. I know even for 5 seconds on social, I can feel the propaganda kicking in, the agendas, the motives. And it takes a concerted effort on my part to say, nope. And it's not just social media. It's like media in general. I don't know a lot of times what is happening around the world unless someone from there is telling me about it, or a friend or a loved one is giving me firsthand experience. I don't call that an ostrich in the sand. To me, that's as credible as you will find. How did I go on a hike and read the reviews and comments of the trail before going, and not one person mentioned that I was going to see an obnoxious bungee jumping company at the end of the bridge, and people were paying $120 for a 15-second thrill? How was I researching this and nobody had anything to say about this bungee jumping? I was actually pretty mad about it because I wouldn't have gone. Everyone always talks about Bridge to Nowhere and it's all the hullabaloo. And I'm like, Evelyn, you don't like trends. You don't like doing what everybody else is doing. And you had like kind of a miserable time on that trail. So I got to the end of the trail and Kesha was blaring like super loud, like a dance club in the middle of the forest. And I have my Kesha moments. This isn't a knock on Kesha. It was interrupting my peace and the beauty of the hike, and I could not get into it. But it took me 6 miles to figure out that there was this bungee jumping thing happening in the middle of the nowhere. And online had no warning about it. It's like nobody knew that was happening or worth mentioning. I don't know what life looks like in the future. I hope it's less propaganda, bureaucracy, gossip, rumors, misinformation, disinformation, drama I see out there on all platforms. If I stay off those platforms, it will help me stay regulated and I can be stimulated in a balanced way. And maybe when I'm talking to you, I won't have episodes that are 2 hours long because I'm so stressed and overstimulated in this like crazy world we're living in right now. And if we all have different experiences anyways, I'm not sure I need to stay engaged in how Lana Del Rey is doing in her perfectly fine and dandy and normal relationship. I think it's like frustrating to me of all the things I've ever said online. I made this passing comment to something I saw online, and every couple of days I got more and more likes on this comment I made about Lana Del Rey. And it has like 500 likes on it. And I was like, you guys, we're just talking about Lana Del Rey here. Like, why is this the most important thing you guys think I've ever shared? Have you ever noticed on social media that you see something that has 50 likes or 500,000 likes or 50,000 shares over like super trivial things that are either none of our business or have no substance? And that meaningful, engaging things are harder to find, and probably someone is paying money for you to view it or putting in several hours of extra work. I'm disgusted that most of the likes that I had came from that post. And it's like mind numbing to me. Maybe some of them are bots. I don't know. But I think that's part of the problem. But where are the endearing comments? You have to unhide these comments. You have to go into these deep dive threads for anybody to see anything of any sort of importance. It's just, ugh. Seeing celebrities all the time, like posting the same type of content to keep up with the trends, doing things they don't want to do to keep their bank account going and selling their soul online. And us little people just eat it up like gravy and are more fascinated in discussions about them than their own circle. And I'm starting to wonder if in America, in the United States, because obviously everybody knows we're not in a democracy anymore, but are we turning into a capitalistic nation that's turning into communism? I mean, we think we have freedom. We think we have rights. We think we have the answers. We think we know what's up. And I'm picturing Plato's cave allegory. Is that the right word? Allegory? Or like the Truman Show, if you guys have ever seen that. I mean, most people just talk about the Matrix, but that's not like, it's the same thing, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like Plato's cave allegory. And I kind of feel like that's where America is at. Like, how can we step out of everything that is pushed in front of us, and how can we live our own life? I think speaking with somebody face to face or having a phone call with them is better than, all these people that are like, I just want to talk to you on social media. And I'm like, hey, you have my number. Like, can we talk like over the phone? And like this guy who's like saying he wants to like go on a date, or when do I get to see you? And because I told him I wasn't a fan of social media, like I don't hear from him. And every once in a while I'll get some like likes, and he's like liking something I do. And then I messaged him in a text message. And I said, hey, like, I'm down to talk, like what's going on? But like, why do we have to do this over social media? And I was reminded when a friend said yesterday that him and his girl went to Mexico, and they were talking to some of the people that were working there. And it was this trip for both of them because they weren't paying attention to the news, like the news that we are fed. And my friend was shocked that they weren't afraid or worried about the division between Mexico and America right now. And the dude in Mexico was like, what are you even talking about? What kind of bullshit are you basically listening to? It's like when I went to Egypt in 2019 and I had never felt more safe there. I felt more safe there than I did in America. And I heard all these criticisms before I left about how I shouldn't go to fucking Egypt. Or hearing my editor from the UK, like completely like knocking my socks off. My brain is spinning because in America, we're hearing that basically the UK is sounded really tragic and going downhill. And he is educating me in a real way about what's going on over there. Obviously, nothing that we are being told. And all of a sudden, it's like Psych 101 talking. I'm seeing a mirror and I'm seeing the problem. It's like we are the horror that we see and hear. And everything that we are being fed or told is happening is actually what's happening from within our own country. And people are, I mean, that's like I don't know if it's an agenda. I mean, politics do this all the time. Oh, look what's happening in these other countries or these other places. Life is so horrible, board up your windows and doors because it's like great here. And it's just wild to me. Like I had to step outside of life for a moment and be like, oh my God, this is all intentional and this is horrible. We were talking about social media and I was telling him, I said, how do you know if something is AI or not? And he showed me a video of AI. I was like, oh, well, yeah, that looks like CGI. Like I know that's AI. I said, what about something that looks completely real? I said, I was watching this military video. It was very cute. And it was all of these men and women in uniform that were standing at attention. And it was all of their children, one by one, in different scenarios, coming up to them, finding their mom and dad and giving them a hug. And these military guys and girls were like breaking character to give their kids a hug or this tender moment. It was beautiful. And I shared it with my family and I was like, oh my gosh, look at this. This is so adorable and beautiful and lovely. And I'm reading the comments, like I was hoping to see some like, military families chiming in. And almost every single comment was, it's AI, it's fake. Oh my gosh. Like you've been exploited. Like, look, like, you thought this was real. It's AI, it's AI. And I'm like, what? It looked completely real. I'm like, what am I missing here? Like, why are you making that fake? And my brain gets more and more fucked. And I'm like, oh my God, it doesn't matter what you watch. If 80% of everything you're looking at on average is fake and it's consuming our nation and it's this addictive train that isn't stopping, at what point, if we aren't already there, is everything kind of something you have to be skeptical of? Can we even pass along information anymore without confirming it's true or not? We can't say, I heard this on the news or I saw this online, because it's just like feeding bullshit into each other's brains. And it's not good. It's terrifying when you think about it. If nothing, quote, nothing is that we see on our platforms is real, including but not limited to magazines, newspapers, media, social, news, if it's not original content linked to an original source where you can speak directly with the author or I can't speak. This is the problem, you guys. I can't read things off of notes. Like it's, you can be very honest with me. I'm much more organic when I can talk freely, ironically. It's like I talk everything that is in my head. And it will be much more raw and genuine and free flowing. And here I am speaking something that was in my head and I wrote it all down and I'm trying to read it and it's like not as good. So I'm sorry, bear with me. This sucks. I was being really hopeful for this episode, but hopefully you get something out of it. Let me read that again. If, quote, nothing we see in that platform is not real, like magazines, newspapers, social media, and it's not the original content linked to an original source where you can speak directly with that author or host or source, then none of it is, quote, real. And then it's like, well, man, we're in for some shit. Pack your bags, everyone, and prepare for what's already here. I saw Handmaid's Tale years ago. My family makes fun of me all the time for how much I bring it up. And something just clicked inside of me when I saw it, and it changed me, honestly, for the rest of my life. And I said, yeah, unfortunately, I'm ready. I'm June Osborne. The other day, my coworker said, oh my God, you're totally Sarah Connor from Terminator. And in both of those roles, it's a compliment, but no one wants to be there. It's not a good thing if you feel like you're in that type of position. It is lonely at the top, as they say. It's hard when you can't engage with other people that are thinking the same things, when people are telling you, the system won't let me. How can you live with yourself saying the system won't let you do something? Find a way around. Contact your managers. Call corporate. I don't really care. Let's stop this train from happening. I think when you put your phone away and enjoy the reality of the world, it's like that's what we kind of have to focus on. And I think it's sad and tragic that America, in my opinion, is probably one of the most corrupt and vile places, worse than a lot of other countries. And we just put a little bow on our states, wave some Disney music around and deflect, and people eat it up. And it's scary to me. It says, would having guns in your face every day and eating food out of trash cans be better? Absolutely not. But of course, you see that here too. I think maybe people in America kind of forget that. The most terrifying reality that I see in too many people nowadays are the ones in my own experience that say the system won't allow it. And my skin is crawling when these people on the other end, presumably, don't even hear what they're saying or notice, and they're continuing the problem. Go off the script for a minute. Evelyn, go off your own script for a minute. Literally, and be a human for a moment. Maybe they can't because they'll lose their job, or the fear is what's keeping us in line. But if protests aren't working, social media blasts are telling you what you should be looking at, losing your job or rights for speaking up against the resistance, like what do you do? Nothing has changed. It's always been like this, but it's been more extreme and worse now, and it's in your face. And when you try to fix something, a mistake, and it's not your fault, and you're forced to comply when there's no human or manager or corporate entity who will help you, what do? You either waste more time that you don't have, give up, or start to lose it a little. Is there another option? You tell me. I would love to know. But there's too much nowadays of the system won't allow me to do it. These are real life situations, and I love your feedback on this. I don't know how we go forward from here. It's terrifying to me. It's nauseating to me. I just want to scream. And maybe psychologically in my head, I picture June Osborne from The Handmaid's Tale, not because I want to be her, because I feel like I'm the kind of person that I have to stand up when other people aren't. People hear me talk about these stories, but they go about their day because maybe they don't have another option. Maybe we don't. Maybe it's not in our control. But if we're fighting it everywhere we are and we're spreading awareness, maybe that's all we can do. Maybe that gives you a little bit of relief too. I think if you could do your part, there's nothing else that you can do. And at least that gives you like a little bit of relief. I know for me, I'm going to try to make more of a concerted effort to try to get this podcast going, do my self-promotion, word of mouth, not leading everything back to social media. And if an episode is 2 hours and some people only go 15 minutes in or 45 seconds in because that's all their brain capacity can handle, then move on, and that's not for you. Also, there's such a thing as the start and stop button and pause. I'm just saying. I personally think for drivers or people doing laundry, like this is great material. Anyways, it's like not the point. I'm about to dive into some situations where I talk about the system, and I don't know if the system is government, politics, money, corporate greed, monopolies. Maybe it's literally all of it and some of it. I don't know. But I do know it's a problem, and I know it's here, and I don't think we can really stop this train. It's like a snowball that's building and it's going down the mountain. And I don't know if out of all of this comes a revolution or a war, which we're already in. I don't know what that's going to look like, but I'm here for you. And if you want to talk, I hope that helps. Let's do it. And I really do, for myself, have to make more of a concerted effort to live in reality and see and hear and question everything and take everything with a grain of salt. And whatever resonates with you, and makes sense to you on an individual level, like what is fueling you, what is giving you hope, and what is keeping you stuck or comfortable, if you can answer that for yourself. I'm going to start doing more of my part to be more aware and question everything all the time and try to find that balance, on my end in order to kind of cope with all of this. Like, I need to be able to afford more massages. I need to get myself some facials. I need more yummy food. I need more good lovemaking. I need more of controlling my vices and working hard and keeping myself in check, rinse and repeat, and all the things. Wow, wow, wow. What else can we do? Unless we are in a fully dystopian world where you don't have to worry about going to work because there's an apocalypse around you and the world has gone to shit. I know in my own life, I can't stand up to authority or political figures or people in power because I have before, and it's horrible. It's horrible. It's horrible. And honestly, when you try to do it, sometimes it's like almost not recoverable. And honestly, I don't recommend it unless you have the money or resources or support to do that. It's a very easy way to die as a journalist. I'm just saying that. So until that day comes, if that day comes, hopefully not, we got to do what's in our power. Keep yourself alive as long as possible. Try to live the best life that you can. No, you're not an ostrich in the sand or naive or ignorant. You're living the best life that you can in the best way that you know how. And I'm fucking proud of you. A couple songs that I would think are good recommendations based off of things I'm saying are Resistance from Muse. The music video is kind of cool and cheesy too. I'm thinking of Common People from Pulp and Starman from David Bowie. Also, maybe like any punk song from the 70s. We can start from there. So I know I threw a lot at you, and I'm like embarrassed. I'm reading off of the script and telling people not to read off of scripts, but the script, you can go off of the script, which is what I'm doing. And I think this was, if anything, a good lesson for me, because I'm not the kind of person that can just do bullet points and think about what they're going to say and then just blast something out, because it's too structured. And then I feel like you stay in this kind of like zone or mode, and then you kind of can't like speak freely. And how else does change come really from not being like everybody else? I really do hope that this made sense to you. And I wanted to do this episode in a peaceful environment because, I mean, you can look, if you go on to @DuckLifeProductions, that is my social media handle on Instagram. Look at some of those videos where I'm driving and I talk about the system. It's right there. You'll also see some of my hikes that I'm doing to Bridge to Nowhere. And I'm actually very excited about this upcoming episode that I did in my car. And I go through this whole journey with you where I went to Santa Barbara and Solvang and San Luis Obispo and came back to Long Beach at like 10 o'clock at night for work. It was quite a thrill and a joy and a ride. But yeah, if you want to know if you want to know what my face looks like, if you want to know what I look like when I'm stressed or how I talk when I'm like passionate about something, I'm starting to do little bits of that on my social media page. But it is a more of a mental note for myself. If I try to be scripted and take some notes and then talk to you about all this, like, will it even work? I don't think it does, but that's just in my own head. So I'd be curious if this even made sense to you at all. I hope you got something out of this. But I do appreciate you listening, and I hope the system doesn't fail you. And if it does, just know you're not alone, as cheesy as that sounds. I just don't know what we're going to do, you guys. It's like customer service in America is terrifying these days. And sometimes you talk to other states and it's like a little bit better depending on the person you talk to. But there's like this culture I'm seeing in Southern California, and it's not just Southern California, but it's It's frustrating. No, sure, you can talk to a manager. They're going to say the same thing. Or, yeah, no, there's no one above me. Or my favorite is when you're talking to customer service, you're getting all the way to the end and then click, they hang up on you. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding. This was an hour and 15 minutes into this dispute. And then you call them back and they're like, I'm like, there's a recorded line. Look at the recorded line spectrum. And they're like, yeah, that's kind of just there for like training purposes. We can't actually, oh, look at the seagull that's right next to me. Hi, baby. You're beautiful. Hi, seagull. Hi. 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 Oh my God, he's so cute. Please don't eat trash. Please don't eat trash. Anyways, no, my favorite is when you get into a deep dive with customer service and they hang up on you. Or they say there's nobody above you. And then on a recorded line, which I've had so many of these, like with Spectrum, and they're like, that's just for training purposes. Nobody can actually hear that. What do you mean you are recording me and you guys aren't taking notes and there's no way to transcribe this? And if someone's not doing their job, you just don't know what I've been calling about for the last 2 years? Like, very fucking frustrating. But they know what they're doing. I mean, it's all designed that way. And I think if you can find a way to break out of that, and, that's why I don't have an Amazon account anymore. I won't support them. The data situation is difficult. I pay the bare minimum. I give Apple $1 every month of my life. Actually, that's not true. I also pay for their podcast thingy, which isn't really doing me any good. So I probably won't be renewing that as well. We'll see where that goes. But it's like a principle thing to me. I don't want to monetize. I don't want to pay for my content to be shoved into your faces or views. I'm not in it for views. I'm not in it for likes. I don't need validation. I'm in it for the content. I'm in it for the material. I'm in it for the words that are coming out of my mouth. I'm in it for the integrity portion and the character of the program. And you're either with it or you're not. And I told my buddy last night, who's also starting to try to do his own creative project, I'm like, I'm just going to be consistent about it. And I don't know if it was my old mentor was telling me, I think it was something about the guy from the White Stripes, was it? Where for years and years and years and years and years and years, he wasn't famous and he had to go through very like drastic measures and basically like do all these things like in Times Square. I can't even verify this story. You're going to have to like look this up. There are too many situations where people give up. And I think if you stay consistent with what you're trying to do, you will be able to get farther. And if I'm looking for instant gratification or instant likes or instant whatever, that's not the people that are going to be my future friends, my future lovers, my future husband. I like to tell myself I'm going to meet my future husband on this podcast. I'm just saying, I think the people that are actually listening, I know this for a fact, the people that are listening are the people that actually give a shit. I don't need numbers. And if somebody is like, oh, she doesn't have a lot of likes or views, she must not be very good. Well, then you have a very small-minded view of the world and capacity to think bigger. Because I don't know. I can't. I can't. I think I read this thing one time. I'll wrap with this. And it was saying like, oh, if you only have a couple likes or no likes or a few followers, like that's the content you should be looking at. Essentially, it's more genuine, it's more authentic, it's more real. And I think it depends on if you want to listen to something that's real or not. But as my friend used to say, what do I know? I don't know anything. What do I know? Again, these are just reflections and comments and opinions. And you have your own. And this is not to tell you how to think or feel. This is just for you to make your own decisions for yourself and stimulate you, get your wheels turning in that brain of yours, make you think of some things. Maybe you're hearing this and you're like, wow, my life's pretty fucking great. Or wow, I'm really grateful for this. What if this whole episode was just a gratitude episode for you? Whatever it may be. But I'm here with you. You're here with me. I'd love to be able to engage when you guys are ready. And that's all I got. Take care, you guys. I appreciate you. Have a wonderful day.
All right, it's your turn. Let's do this. I know how to love, 'cause in my dreams I was taught by you. I know how to love, 'cause in my dreams I was taught by you. Spend a little time with me, and maybe you will see, just temporarily fall